Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Perusa MMA. I am Carlo Perusa, and today I am joined with WWE superstar. He's Mr. Itor Uwen, Mr. Big E. You know, Big E, we've talked a couple of times now. We've done a lot of XFC talking about their past events, their events coming up, the promotion as a whole. Today we're going to do things a little different. We're going to talk some wrestling as well as some XFC, if that's good with you.
Of course.
To start off, your path to WWE was a little different than some. You played football over at Iowa State, and then
Iowa. Yeah. Iowa State's rival. Yeah, Iowa, yes, sir.
We're starting off the interview with fighting terms right away. You started playing football at Iowa, and then you signed a contract, a developmental deal with WWE. What was that whole process like? Do you remember where you were when you first got approached by WWE?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a long story, but the abridged version is essentially I had a bunch of injuries when I played football at Iowa, tore both my ACLs, broke my right patella, tore my left pec. So I was done playing football, but I was still on campus. And I really I was in grad school, and I just got approached by someone who knew someone at WWE. So it was really it was kismet. So I connected with a buddy of mine, Mike Humble, played for the Steelers, but he was working out with me in Iowa City at the time because he had a neck injury. And he and I were working out together, and he was friends with Mike Doherty, who connected with Jim Ross, and Jim Ross was with WWE at the time. And Jim Ross said, hey, Mike Doherty was close with the Iowa wrestling program, and said, essentially, if there are any Iowa wrestlers who are done with their careers in college who want to do this, let me know. And then just only because Mike Humble had the relationship with Mike Doherty, he reached out to me and said, this is something that you might want to do. And I was a fan as a kid, but it never occurred to me that this could be something that I could do for a living. So really a job that I took on a whim, and I was really, really fortunate at 23 to get this opportunity out of nowhere, and it changed my life.
We talked about before, obviously, the grind when you first signed a contract with them. You're doing small shows, and then you went over to NXT, and a lot of things really picked up for you. You got to learn how to tutelage of Triple H and some others. What was that whole NXT experience like?
It was great. It was a real transition period. A lot of us were trying to figure out what is this? Because when I got signed, it was FCW. So I first started off in Tampa, which is where I'm born and raised, and trained there for a while. And then, we started hearing about NXT, and, there was different versions of it. Like the first version of NXT, I think, was 2010. They were doing that on the road, and then they stopped doing that. And then the new version of NXT was essentially Orlando-based. It was this opportunity to put developmental wrestling in WWE on television. Before with FCW, we were essentially, it wasn't quite public access, but it was just local Florida channels. And like, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose and all these guys, and we're fighting, we're wrestling, and maybe I feel like a couple hundred people are watching us on these local shows. But with NXT, it really allowed us to have more eyes. And initially, it was in Europe, and we kept hearing about how it was available on Hulu, and we had a European fan base. Before now, the great thing is seeing the brand grow to a point where they're on USA, and now moving soon to the CW is really great. But yeah, it was such a great time in our careers because we're all finding our footing. And for me, I was doing the 5 count in NXT, an old King Kong Bundy gimmick, and that really launched my career. That allowed me to really connect with crowds, and I had a lot of fun doing it, and things just went from there. But it was really cool, looking back, being 23, 24, 25, and it was me, and like I came up with the Roman Reigns of the world, with like Roman and Seth, Dean, those guys, Rusev, just so many of the guys that have gone on to do incredible things in the industry. So many of us kind of got our starts early in our careers in NXT.
When you first started going on the main roster, you got to do some work with AJ Lee. You got to do some work with Dolph Ziggler. What was it like watching Dolph cash in the Monday after WrestleMania 29?
I tell people still that's one of the best reactions I've ever seen. One of the loudest pops ever. And I'm terrible. My memory is terrible, but I will always remember the Izod Center the night after WrestleMania. Actually, that was my first main roster match, was WrestleMania. So it was me and Dolph in a tag team with AJ on the outside against Team Hell No, which is Kane and Daniel Bryan. Unfortunately, we lost. But the next night, Dolph cashes in New Jersey at the Izod Center. And that pop was incredible, man. The people were so behind Dolph, so beloved. And that was such a cool moment for me to be a part of. And, I think about my career, and so many of the best moments in my career were Money in the Bank or winning the title. But I also got to be there for other people's big moments, being there ringside, standing at the ring as Dolph cashed in, one of the best moments of the last 15 years. Also being there for KofiMania was really, really incredible. Even when the Hardys returned, we were hosting WrestleMania in Orlando, just right down the road from my hometown. And so that's what I love. In our industry, it really is about making moments, and being a part of those moments, even if you're just a small part, is really, really cool.
You mentioned AJ Lee. I remember watching the clip. You're in your introduction, you were stretching, and you hit AJ Lee. Do you give her a little bit of a hard time at that one?
No, she's the one who gave me a hard time. She got on me. I had so much fear. And there's a lot of people who pause it, and there's a still where you just see the terror in my eyes, because I can locate Dolph. I know where Dolph is. I know I didn't hit Dolph. I knew it was AJ. And I'm thinking, man, I hit this woman in the head. I'm going to turn around. No, her nose is going to be bleeding. Mind you, this is the same night that Dolph cashed in. This is the night after WrestleMania. This is my very first singles match on the main roster. And this beloved woman who has been by my side, in this group with Dolph for months and months, and I end up hitting her. So I think, all right, it's over. It's just I just think the worst. And I turn around and she just laughs it off. Thankfully, I just hit her in the sternum. She was fine, but she was doing book signings and appearances many, many years later, and was joking that I broke her sternum, and she loves to give me a hard time about it. But thankfully, she's a real trooper. So she was okay.
If you know Big E, you obviously know the New Day, such a beloved group that really I think it's going to go down and going to be talked about in wrestling forever. Who came up with the New Day? Whose idea was that?
So it definitely started off. It was so much of our story is really collaborative. So Woods was the first person who, this is now a decade ago, who came up to me and said, "Hey, I want to start a faction." And we actually started. It was kind of the root of this was a faction that we started. So Byron Saxton, who is a longtime commentator, announcer, backstage guy, a jack of all trades. So he was a wrestler. That was when I first started. He was in the ring with us, and so it was me, Saxton, Woods, and I don't know if anyone remembers Abraham Washington, who was, people don't give him enough credit for being an incredible talker. I remember when I first got to FCW, he would cut these promos for 3, 4, 5 minutes, and he would blow people away. Just incredible. So we started this faction called The Plan, and unfortunately we didn't really get to do it on TV, but we had so much fun putting it together and working on it. We really believed in it. So Woods kind of approached me about this idea of resurrecting something like The Plan, this group where we're recruiting people and kind of like this militant group, angry with something to prove. And we were talking, it was actually the same day that I dropped the IC title to Wade Barrett. I lose to Bad News Barrett. And on that same day, Woods always jokes that he has one of the worst debuts ever. But shortly after his debut, he has this handicap tag team match with R-Truth. And it's him and Truth against Rusev. And Woods gets obliterated. So anyways, Woods isn't kind of, not doing a whole lot in his career. I'm at a point where I dropped the IC title, and they essentially told me, "Hey, we like you, but we don't have anything for you. So get into the pre-tapes room and just try stuff." So we were both in a position where we realized we need to do something to get some juice behind our careers, or we're done. We're cooked. So we really took it upon ourselves to start from there. And then we very quickly realized, we were talking about people to add to the group, and Kofi was brought up. Woods brought up Kofi. And honestly, I was hesitant at first, not because I didn't believe in Kofi, but he was someone who was a lifelong babyface. You'd never seen him as a heel. And we always thought, or I thought, there's going to be some difficulty getting the office to agree to turn him heel. So that was my only reservation. And we kept talking about it. And Woods said, you know what? He kept thinking Kofi was the right one. And then we talked to Kofi hey, is this something you're interested in? And thankfully, he was fully on board. The wild part is years after that, he told us at that point in his career, mind you, this is a whole decade ago. At that point in his career, he was thinking about hanging it up. He was thinking about retiring, just because he also was stagnant in his career and wanted more. And then now to see him still going in his early 40s and he's still doing it is really, really incredible. So I'm so proud of those two. They've done some incredible things in the ring, and it's a real brotherhood. I think oftentimes people see what we've done on TV, and always hope that energy, that love for each other, that brotherhood comes across on TV, because it's very real for us.
I think you described it best. I mean, I can sense that you guys are good friends. It is a brotherhood. Was it almost instant chemistry working with those guys? Did you just click right off the bat together?
Yeah, right away. So even before we were on TV, thankfully they allowed us on house shows together. So we were doing live events, and we were getting these opportunities to work on our craft. We were traveling together. We were trying ideas out. We were shooting pre-tapes on our own. We were just trying things. And we realized very quickly that we liked each other a ton, that we got along very smoothly. I'd known Kofi a little bit because he would train at Cena's gym when I was there in developmental. So he would stop by, and he was living in the Tampa area. And I knew Woods a little bit better because we were in developmental together. But I wouldn't say any of us were really great friends until we started with the New Day. And then as soon as we came together, it really clicked like that. And I think it was really just being that time. I'm so grateful for that time with the live events, with the house shows, where we got the opportunity to try things. It's a great time to experiment, throw things at the wall, see what works, see what doesn't work. Because initially, we kind of cringe now, we look back at it. But when we were doing some of the early gospel stuff, the guy on the floor, if you weren't in the tag match, was wearing dress clothes. So I would wear slacks. And, early New Day, I would have my little rally towel. So we were just trying things. Some things worked, some things didn't work. But we realized very quickly that we have a really special bond.
Since you guys were so close, when Kofi won the title, KofiMania, was that almost an emotional moment for you?
Oh, very emotional. You see Woods tearing up. You see him crying. It meant a lot to us, man. Kofi's just honestly one of the best humans you're gonna find in this industry. Always has carried himself as a professional. Always has been great to the young guys. Always respectful to every person he meets in the building, whether they're a John Cena or whether they're an arena worker. He's someone who carries himself the right way. And I'm so proud of those two, with Kofi and Woods, because of their character. And that's one thing that I never have to worry about them being outed for doing something terrible, or for being rude to someone, or not being professional. Those guys are true gentlemen. And I'm really proud of the way that they've shaped the industry. And KofiMania was so special for us, that whole run. And I think some of the best runs in wrestling are really organic. It was only because Ali got injured at the time. And if he wasn't injured, if he wasn't out, that spot, that opportunity never goes to Kofi. And we missed out on that moment. But seeing the way that people really took to KofiMania, seeing him win the title at WrestleMania, beating Daniel Bryan, with Rowan at ringside. And Rowan is someone that I've traveled the world with for many years. We were travel partners for a long time, a good friend of mine. So it was so full circle in so many ways. And to be a small part of KofiMania was really incredible.
Now, where were you, and who told you that you yourself was going to win the WWE Championship?
So we were in Boston, and I got a call. I got a call about the match, and I don't want to divulge into who told me what. But I will say, so we were in Boston, and I had the Money in the Bank, and I remember stretching, and I always have this moment of getting that phone call that, the match is happening tonight. And I sent out the tweet where I called my shot. And, that was special. That was such a special moment. Being in Boston, when my mom went to BC, so much of my mom's side of the family immigrated from Montserrat to the Boston area. My sister currently lives in Boston. Kofi's from Boston. So that was a really, really beautiful, beautiful moment for me. So many incredible wrestlers never get the opportunity to hold the WWE Championship. That holds so much prestige. So many incredible performers have held that title. So for me to be a part of that lineage is something that I'll never forget, and I'm really, really grateful for.
Did you always think at some point you would hold the title, or for a while there, did you think it wasn't in your cards?
I didn't know, because obviously the vast majority of my career, at least my main roster career, has been spent in tag teams in the New Day. So I will say I was always, for me, I like to focus on what I can control what you can. And it was always about trying to just improve as often as I could. For me, I tried my best to, every segment you're given, they always tell you to maximize your minutes every segment I'm given, every opportunity to go out there, I wanted to do my very best. I wanted to make a statement. I wanted people to remember me. And that's really what I focused on, is I just wanted to get better and better. And if that opportunity never came, then so be it. But, I can't say early in my career that I knew. But when I started hearing guys like Kenny Omega in interviews say Big E should be WWE champion, when I had so many of my peers telling me like, "Hey, you're going to be a world champion one day," that meant the world to me. That's what really is meaningful, when you have the respect of your peers, of people that you respect, people in the ring, and the adoration from the fans too. So I can say, if I ended my career and I never got to be WWE champion, I can't say I would take anything away from what I did. I'm still so proud of what I did, but it puts you in rarefied air to hold that championship.
So a few years ago, a picture went around the internet of Sasha Banks taking a picture with a fan at the airport, and she had a very disgusted look on her face. So is it true that you designed a pair of socks with this image of Sasha on them and gifted them to her?
So actually I didn't gift. I wore them. I kept them for myself. But no, Sasha and I have been good friends for a while. And at the time, I thought that picture was very, very funny. It amused me, and I can be a child at times with my sense of humor. So yeah, I reached out to there's a sock company that they were great. I think that they're based in Florida, and they asked me, "Hey, is there a design that you would want to put on these socks?" And I went, and it was, I think, around the time that picture had hit the internet and it was being passed around. And that poor fan, yeah, her face said it all. So yeah, that was a thing. That was a thing that happened.
So in 2022, you went through a little bit of adversity. You got hurt, broke your neck in a match. You've been out ever since. Talk about the event itself. Following the contest, did you feel like you had a serious issue going on?
No, so actually, I didn't know. We were in Birmingham, and there was a belly to belly, a move that I do all the time. This time I was on the receiving end, and it went awry. And instead of landing on my back like you're supposed to, I ended up, spiking on my head and ended up breaking my C1 in two places, in what they refer to as a Jefferson fracture, and my C6 as well. But for me, like, I moved my fingers, my toes. There was no issues, no numbness. I knew something had happened. For me, I wasn't in pain or any of those things. So I thought maybe it's a strain of some sort, an abrasion. I'm not a medical professional, clearly. So I didn't think it was that serious until we went to the hospital, and they told me that your neck is broken in 3 places. And thankfully, it's not displaced. But it is sobering when you hear from doctors that, if you didn't have so much mass in your neck, stroke, paralysis, and death all very easily could have been on the table. For me, there was no displacement of the actual bone, and that had a lot to do with having a thick neck to hold it in place. So I'm really grateful for all the neck bridges in high school wrestling, middle school wrestling, all the neck work that I've done over the years, because it really saved me. But yeah, more than anything, I'm really grateful to still, over these 2.5 years, have not had issues with pain. I feel great in the weight room. More than anything, I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for health. I'm happy and healthy, and really, that's all I can ask for.
How's the whole rehab and the recovery process been from that event? And do you think you could ever compete again in the ring?
Well, we see. We'll see. Right now, it is my neck is just not ossifying. It's not turning into new bone quite yet. It is kind of healing fibrously. So it's connected, and there's no fear that, if I were pushed too hard or if I were bumped, that anything would happen. None of that. But I'm not really in a position right now to be cleared medically, because the nature of what we do is very physical, and taking bumps requires you to have a rock solid neck. So we'll see what the future holds. Mind you, there's kind of a race against the clock. I'm 38. I'm no spring chicken anymore. So if I were to be cleared, hopefully it would happen within the next year or so. But more than anything, I'm focusing on what I do have in life, and I have a great life. I have a lot of things I'm able to do right now. I went down to Cancun a couple months ago for stem cells, and we'll see how that goes. Went to a great spot called Rejuve Stem in Cancun. They also have an office, I believe, in Guadalajara, and they're looking to expand. But no, they were great to me. Yeah, I'm really having a great time on these countdown shows. We're doing pre-shows and post-shows for all the PLEs. I'm headed to Berlin very soon, but it's been fun, man. I've really enjoyed this new role, this current role. And if an opportunity in the ring opens up, then we'll address that. But for right now, my focus is on the broadcasting side of things.
All right, last wrestling question. With you being in this new role, being the production, the broadcasting side of things, do you see the business, do you see the product through a different window?
Yeah, that's the thing too, is you're so often focused on just yourself when you're in the ring, or I'm focused on Kofi and Woods, or we're looking at other tag teams, and you're kind of more locked in. But now, the great thing is, honestly, like I wasn't really regularly watching Raw and SmackDown and NXT when I was on the road. It's difficult to with your schedule, and it's just so much wrestling. Sometimes you honestly need a break. But now the nice thing is I feel like I'm able to step back and really watch as a fan. Like I felt like a fan again. And we just had SummerSlam in Cleveland, and being on the desk and watching with Wade, with Jackie Redmond, with Pete Rosenberg as Roman returns. And this is a guy I've shared the locker room with for a decade and a half, a guy I've known for a long time. But in that moment, like, you're not thinking about it as a professional. Like I took off my worker hat and I put on my fan hat, and that's a lot of fun. Like, to geek out, to enjoy it. So that's something that I'm really enjoying. And now I'm watching Raw every Monday, watching SmackDown every Friday, watching NXT, really looking at the landscape of things. And for me, anything that I do that I really throw myself into, I don't like with careers, with any of those career pursuits, any of my professional pursuits, I don't like phoning things in. So for me, I want to be as informed as possible. I want to see these talent go out there on a weekly basis. I want to know their backstories. I want to see them cut promos. I want to be informed so that I can go out there and do them justice, because I know what it's like to have people who are supposed to be commentating and announcing, and they make you look larger than life. And other times people don't do that. So I want to make sure that I do right by our talent. So I'm really enjoying this current role.
All right, so if some of your fans don't know, you're on the board of directors of an MMA organization now called XFC, doing really big things, man. Already done a couple of shows, and this organization's pulling former UFC fighters. They're pulling former Bellator, PFL fighters, some of the best next top prospects. It's going to be great in huge shows. Already done the good shows in Lakeland, already done good shows in Detroit. Why did you want to get involved with an MMA promotion?
Man, I've been an MMA fan for a while now. It's something that I was into in college during the Ultimate Fighter days, and we all loved. And honestly, like my fandom might have lapsed a little bit, just with work and whatnot. But then UFC 2 dropped, as silly as it is. But that video game, when it dropped, we were playing nonstop in the locker room. And then every iteration, UFC 3, UFC 4, UFC 5, we all like it just became my game. Like, I love that game. And that game really just stoked my fandom again. So I listened to Anik and Florian's podcast. I'm a huge fan of the Morning Combat podcast with Luke and Brian. I really just started immersing myself in MMA, and I got the opportunity to work with Jeff Lambert last year as an MC for the Michigan Panthers at the time it was the USFL, now it's the UFL. But I had that opportunity to work with Jeff Lambert and his team, and they did such a great job. They were so professional. Really loved working with them in Detroit. And then Jeff reached out to me after the season and floated this my way. And I've never served on a board. It's not something that ever really crossed my mind before, but it really excited me. And especially when I heard from Jeff the kinds of people that they were having attached to the board, having a Jenny Taft on, having all these people with incredible marketing experience, these owners of businesses who really understand how to market. I thought this was something that I want to be a part of. And Jeff really believes in treating fighters the right way and taking care of fighters and putting on great events for the fans, great looking events. And I got an opportunity to go to the show in Lakeland, also to the show in Detroit. And it really is a fun product. I really believe in what we're doing. So I'm excited for the growth of the XFC. I think it's only going to get bigger and bigger. We have great people attached and great fighters. And like you said, we have great names like Pearl Gonzalez. We have Zach Pauga. You have guys, young up and comers. You have guys who fought, and men and women who fought in PFL, in Bellator, in the UFC. And then you have these young up and comers who are making a name for themselves. So I'm a big believer in what we're doing, and I'm excited for the growth of the XFC.
Obviously, you come from a world of sport entertainment, and when it comes to mixed martial arts, these people are legitimately fighting each other. That aspect of things is not scripted. But do you feel it's important to find ways to incorporate entertainment to enhance the product as a whole?
Yeah, no, I always think, any sports league, if you're trying to sell tickets, it's an entertainment product. And like you said, we're not trying to do anything hokey, no, nothing pro wrestling in the cage when it comes to the fight itself. But when it comes to telling the stories of the fighters, when it comes to delivering a really fun product that fans can enjoy, I feel like I can kind of lend some of my experience with other people who are experiencing the space. And that's a lot of what we do is just Chris Defendis, our president, has done an incredible job. He worked with me in WWE and also spent, I believe, about 2 decades working at HBO. And we really just want to deliver the best product. And you're going to get great fights, but we also want to bring in the entertainment side. We want to make sure that fans feel that fanfare. And we have great personalities. And I mentioned Pearl again. The way she comes out during the weigh-ins, she came out with dancers for the fight. It really is when you have that entertainment product combined with great athletes, that gives you a great show for fans. And that's our hope, is to continue to tell great stories, to highlight these fighters have so many amazing stories. So many of them have been through so many different trials and tribulations, and we want people to connect with them. And really, it's about storytelling, and it's about doing things the right way as far as entertainment is concerned.
When you look at the MMA landscape, obviously the UFC is way up there. It's like the WWE of mixed martial arts. Then you got your Bellator and PFL. You got your ones promotions. And then you have a bunch of regional promotions. I have a tough time classifying XFC because, some people say it's a regional promotion, but I mean, what regional promotion is bringing out this many former UFC guys, former PFL guys? It's kind of crazy. Do you and the rest of your team feel XFC could be right there, maybe behind the PFL and Bellators of the world?
Well, I mean, that's our hope. That's our hope, is to grow this thing as big as possible. Look, we're not trying to compete with the juggernaut that is the UFC, but our hope is that we're an attractive organization for people hoping to get to the UFC. That you realize that fighting in the XFC gives you great visibility, that allows you to fight in front of passionate fans, and you'll have a great looking product as far as getting your fight. You'll have tape that looks great that you can put on socials, that you can tell people out about. So that is our hope. The PFL obviously has a lot of money right now that they're giving out with the $1 million at the end of their tournaments, at the end of the playoffs. We're just hoping to grow this thing as much as possible. And it's not about denigrating any other promotion. It's not about tearing anything down or trying to be like anyone else. We just really want to be the best promotion that we can be. And like you said, yeah, I know oftentimes people see, if we're not on an ESPN, if you're not on national TV, they'll think of us as a regional promotion, and that's fine. Use whatever term you want, but our hope is really to grow far beyond just a regional promotion, is to continue to grow and expand. And I know Jeff definitely has that mindset of growing. So I really feel like we haven't even scratched our surface, and the best of the XFC is yet to come.
So you guys have a big event coming up, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, September 27th. Great main event, if I will, in Zach Paga versus Alex Nicholson, two former UFC guys. Alex Nicholson, a guy who's also made a name for himself in the PFL. Both of these guys returning. Both were in action in Michigan. I think it's a great contest, great appealing heavyweight bout. You think fans are going to be excited for this one?
Very much so. I mean, you have two big athletic heavyweights. It really is going to be a great card from top to bottom. We're going to see Kenny Cross again, who had a great fanfare when we were in Detroit, brought a lot of fans with him. People really loved him. We really are building a great card. I'm proud of what we're building. That show in Milwaukee is going to be a fun one. I promise you, if you're in the Milwaukee area, if it's drivable, please show up. I promise you, it's going to be an affordable ticket. It's going to be a great card. And if you can't watch live in person, please look out for us on Fight TV. Look out for the pay-per-view because we're coming. It's going to be a great card, and you're going to get a great main event.
So if you could get cleared to compete again, is there any chance Big E steps in an MMA contest?
No, not at all. I would be a heavyweight. I am not even 5'11". I don't have the reach. I don't have no, sir. I know my place, and it is not in the cage. That is why we are here to highlight the men and women who do it. Because really, honestly, like, you have to to think that you can just stroll in and just because you're in great shape and you lift weights, to think you can fight in a cage, I'm telling you, like, to have to master jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, there's so many disciplines. It takes so many years of training. So that's why I have so much respect for these athletes, because no, you just can't come in from a powerlifting career and from pro wrestling and think you're going to do some damage in the cage. I promise you, I am better off on the outside of the cage.
All right, Biggie, last question for you, my friend. Why do people need to continue following XFC and keep tuning into these shows, the one in Milwaukee and the shows in the future? I
really think we're doing something dynamic. I really, truly am a big believer in Jeff and the team that he's building and has built. I think we're just, like I said, we're going to continue to grow. You're going to get great names that you recognize, and you're going to get some young stars that are being made as well. So, yeah, I just think from top to bottom, you're going to see great fights. You're going to see a lot of excitement. You might even see some celebrities. We had Megatron, one of the greatest receivers to ever touch grass, was at the Detroit card. We just have great people attached. It's a lot of fun. I promise you, if you are an MMA fan, if you're curious, if you like combat sports, if you're just remotely interested, please give us a chance, because we're building something special. Great fights, a card, a great pacing too. Can I say that? I had to pull Jeff aside. But the two cards that I was able to attend in person, I love the pacing. I hate when you're sitting around for 15, 20, 25 minutes waiting for the next fight. I really thought the event moved so well. So you're going to get a great night of fights and entertainment. I promise you. So please give us a shot. Try us out. The XFC is here to stay.
All right, Biggie, I really appreciate you coming on the show and talk with me tonight, man. I really enjoyed the XFC product and really think you guys are onto something. And hey, it was awesome talking about your wrestling career as well, my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Carlo.
Well, that is Big E. I'm Carlo Peruzza. That's it for now, but stick around for the next time.